Hey everyone, and a huge welcome, especially if you're deep in exam prep right now. Today, we are tackling a really crucial topic in international relations, the India-Russia partnership. And trust me, this is way more than just a history lesson. It's a deep dive into an all-weather friendship that's shaping global politics as we speak. So grab your notes, because we are about to decode this thing. Let's jump right in.
All right, first things first. There's a phrase you've got to burn into your memory. Special and privileged strategic partnership. And look, this isn't just some fancy diplomatic term. It's the absolute core of their modern relationship, locked in since 2010. Using this exact phrase in your answers, it immediately signals that you get the incredible level of trust and cooperation we're talking about here.
Okay, so what's our game plan for this deep dive? First, we'll lay down the foundations. Then we'll get into the big pillars, the politics, the economy, and of course, defense. After that, we'll look at the cultural ties that really strengthen the bond, how they work together on the world stage, and we'll wrap up with some killer takeaways to really help you nail those exams.
All right, first up, how did we even get here? Let's trace the modern journey of this partnership and see how it leveled up from just strategic to the privileged status it has today.
This timeline really lays it all out, doesn't it? It all kicked off back in 2000 with the strategic partnership. Then, a decade later in 2010, boom! It gets that major upgrade to special and privileged. And more recently, in 2021, they added the 2+2 dialogue, which brought a whole new layer into their security talks. These dates, super important. Definitely ones to highlight in your notes.
Okay, so we've seen the how it started, but what about the how it's going? How do they keep this relationship so solid? Well, the political engagement here is more than just handshakes and meetings. It's a really well-oiled machine with specific mechanisms that keep things running smoothly.
Okay, get ready for some alphabet soup, but trust me, these are the acronyms you'll want to know. The annual summit, that's the top-tier meeting. Think of it as the Prime Minister and President's main event. The 2+2 dialogue is all about security, with the foreign and defense ministers hashing things out. And then you have the IRIGC, which is kind of like the engine room. It's got two parts. TEC handles trade and culture, while MNMTC focuses on everything military. Knowing these will make your answers look so much sharper.
And you know, this isn't some dusty old agreement we're talking about. This is a living, breathing partnership that's happening right now. Just look at how often the leaders meet. From the big annual summits to grabbing time on the sidelines of BRICS and SCO, it really proves this is a true all-weather friendship.
All right, let's get into the heavy hitters, the two pillars that everyone talks about, and for good reason, the economy and defense. This is where things get really interesting and are absolutely crucial for any solid analysis.
Okay, check out this number. $100 billion. That's the super ambitious target both countries have set for their bilateral trade by 2030. Now that is a massive jump from where they are today, and it just screams commitment to deepening their economic partnership.
But, and this is a big but, take a closer look at these numbers. The total trade figure looks pretty good, right? But see that massive difference? India is importing a ton from Russia, mostly oil and fertilizers, but its exports, well, they're just a tiny fraction of that. That huge gap, that's the big economic challenge they need to solve.
So that naturally leads us to the big question, right? A question you might actually see on an exam paper. How do you fix this? What are the actual strategies on the table to balance things out and really fire up cooperation?
So what's the plan? Well, they're not just sitting on their hands. They're focusing on some really key drivers. First, energy security is huge. Second, they're pushing big connectivity projects, like the INSTC and the Chennai-Vladivostok corridor to make trade easier. Third, they have a big investment target. And finally, they're trying to fast-track a free trade agreement. These are all about creating a more balanced and robust economic future.
Okay, let's switch gears to defense, because this is where you see a really cool shift. The relationship has totally evolved. It's gone from a simple, hey, I'll buy that jet, to, hey, let's design and build the next big thing together. The BrahMos missile is the poster child for this evolution, a joint project that's a massive win for India's defense industry. Okay, so we've talked politics, money, and military. But a relationship this strong, it's built on more than just that. Let's talk about the softer side, the science, the culture, the people-to-people connections that give this partnership its incredible depth. When it comes to science and technology, this isn't just about sharing notes. We're talking about some seriously strategic stuff. The Kudankulam nuclear power plant, for instance, is the only one in India built with a foreign partner, and Russia's help with India's Gaganyaan mission, the manned spaceflight program, that shows an incredible level of trust.
These are foundational projects for India's future.
And what about the people? You've got over 20,000 Indian students in Russia right now, with many of them studying medicine. That's not just a number. That's a living, breathing bridge between the two countries, building connections that will last for decades. It's a perfect example of the soft power that makes this relationship so resilient.
And the cultural vibe between them? It's awesome. You have these huge festivals like Bharat Utsav lighting up Moscow, and then you have yoga becoming super popular in like over 60 regions across Russia. This is the real grassroots connection, showing a genuine appreciation for each other's culture that goes way beyond politics.
So you have this incredibly strong one-on-one relationship. But what happens when they step out onto the world stage together? Well, that's where you see some serious synergy. They often find themselves on the same page, pushing for a world with multiple centers of power.
Now this right here, this quote, is huge. For a permanent member of the UN Security Council, one of the P5 nations, to consistently and publicly back India's bid for its own permanent seat, well, that's a massive political statement and a cornerstone of their global partnership.
Okay, this table is perfect for your revision notes. It breaks down exactly where they team up. At the UN, it's that big UNSC support and fighting terrorism. In groups like BRICS and the SCO, it's about building that multipolar world and keeping the region stable. And at the G20, they align on global economic policy. Basically, from top-level security to the global economy, they're working in sync.
Phew, we have covered a ton of ground. So now, let's boil it all down. This is the final revision tool, your ultimate cheat sheet for this topic. Let's make sure the most important points really stick.
Okay, screenshot this, write it down, whatever you need to do. These are the absolute must-know points. You've got the trade numbers and the big target, the landmark projects, BrahMos, Kudankulam, Gaganyaan, the key dialogue channels, annual summit, 2+2, and IRIGC, the crucial connectivity routes, and finally, that solid gold support for India's permanent seat at the UNSC. Got it? Good.
And finally, to tie this all together with a nice little bow, I've got a mnemonic for you. Just remember the word Russia. R for robust political engagement. U for the goal of unprecedented economic growth. S for security and defense partnership. Another S for science, space, and nuclear cooperation. I for interregional and multilateral synergy. And A for those all-encompassing people-to-people ties. Use that to structure your thoughts, and you'll have a fantastic framework for any answer. Good luck with the exams.